Everybody ready? Okay, I'd like to call this meeting to order. This is Thursday, February 9th, 6:02 p.m. This is the Sacramento Metropolitan District regular Board of Directors meeting. We'll call roll call, please.
Directors, I'll begin. Director Sailors is absent this evening, so moving to Director Weber.
Here.
Sheets,
Present.
Gould,
Present.
Wood should be joining us shortly. I will mark him absent for now. Director Rice is also absent for now. Director Jones.
Jones is here as well as
Wood,
Same
Director
here.
Wood is joining us now.
right on time.
Director Costa.
Here.
All right, President Clark, turning it back over to you.
Thank you, Board Clerk. Director Jones, would you lead us in the pledge of
My
allegiance, please?
those who are able to, please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, Metro cable announcement. This meeting of the Sacramento Metropolitan Fire District will be cablecast on Metro Cable 14. The local government affairs channel on Comcast, Consolidated Communications, and AT&T UVerse cable systems. This meeting is also webcast at Metro 14 live.saccounty.gov. Today's meeting replays on Saturday, February 11th at 2 p.m. and Monday, February 13th at 6 p.m. on Channel 14. This meeting can also be viewed at youtube.com/Metro Cable 14. And next, we have an opportunity to discuss matters of public interest within the district jurisdiction, including items on or not on the agenda. Do we have any speakers?
We don't have any speakers in person. However, Art, if you could unmute our virtual audience and give them the chance to speak.
Attendees, you now have the ability to unmute yourself if there's anything you'd like to present to the board at this time. No response.
Thank you. Next, we go to our consent agenda. Board members have had a chance to look at the agenda. Do we have any questions, omissions, or additions to the consent agenda?
I do not.
Hearing none.
Move the consent.
Second.
Motion by Director Wood and second by Director Jones. Call the roll, please, Madam Clerk.
Director Weber,
Aye.
Sheets,
Aye.
Gould,
Aye.
Wood,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Costa,
Aye.
and Clark.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay, next on the agenda is presentation items. We have a workers' compensation update, and Chief Haverty is going to do the presentation.
Thank you, Director. I just wanted to update you on a few items that Chief Bailey and our HR division are working on regarding to the workers' compensation. Chief Bailey and HR Manager Maddox are participating in a local conference here in Sacramento, HR-related conference. It's put on by the Public Agency Risk Management Association, and I've spoken to them yesterday and today about it. They're both bringing back a lot of information, both to help in this area as well as others. Specific to this particular item, I wanted to let you know that they and I continue to work on the workers' compensation flow chart of that claims process summary. It's at a point now where, you know, the flow chart identifies the process from step one through the end. It also identifies, perhaps more importantly, the relationships between those various steps, and now identifies areas where the district has direct influence over the process, some indirect influence over the process, and no influence because of legal prohibitions. The next step, which we've already begun working on, is, okay, so if you have direct influence, what are you doing? What kind of direct influence do you have? And so we have put together some ideas and ways forward, which I've shared with you in my Friday reports to you. But in brief, those consist primarily of specific videos, podcasts that Captain Cahill will work with our HR division on to provide kind of a one-on-one guide for employees, for our members who are struggling with a particular area, or they may be able to access the written word or a document on it, but just having someone explain it to you on a specific question or a step that you can take, or what your rights are, you know, how we can help you better in that area. So those are being planned right now and scheduled with Captain Cahill for videoing. And then those will be placed on our website or another location so that our members can access them, or even the caregivers of our members can access them and get some information and help night or day, basically. They're also telling me that they are updating the workers' comp information for the website with just links to other kinds of the forms and those videos that I spoke about and other information that would be helpful for them to walk through the process. I think I shared with you that I was able to call every single member who's on workers' comp leave and suffering from that right now. And honestly, when I finished those calls, I had very short conversations with those who picked up. About half of them did. I felt that it was probably the best hour and a half I ever spent as a fire chief, just talking with them. So those are areas that they're working on. They also wanted me to let you know that the RFP for the third-party administrator is done, and we have just 2 final reviews before it goes out to the street. And so one of the things that Chief Bailey and Melissa Maddox are doing at this conference is there are a number of third-party administrators that are there. And so they're sharing with them that we're about ready to hit the streets with this RFP and advising them that we'd like to hear from them and kind of meeting them firsthand too. So I think that's a positive thing. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Chief. Do we have any questions of the board?
I have one. Thank you.
Director Weber?
Chief, I believe I have the numbers. Do we have a presentation next board meeting from HR and covering that chart?
I don't know if it's going to be next board meeting because you're going to hear the mid-year budget next board meeting, and I don't want to overload your meeting, but we spoke about that today, and they're in the process of preparing it. So what I just told you, they want to show you the illustration of the flow chart and walk through it, not only for your benefit, but for our members' benefits as well, if they happen to tune in or want to go back and look at the video of that. And so, yeah, they're working on that for you. But I think it'll be too much next board meeting for all of us.
Just trying to get a time frame.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Director Gould, you have your hand up?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Chief, thanks for that report and update. Really quickly, as your team is putting together these videos and that informational materials, might I ask that we at least consider including an alumni of the workers' comp process and kind of the lessons that individual, somebody that's gone through that gauntlet can share some insight. And then you made a very key, I think, and keen observation, and that's we also have to give something to the caregivers. I would strongly encourage us to find a caregiver that also could provide other caregivers of our employees some tips of how to survive that experience as well, and key ideas. So I'm glad that everybody else is involved, and that's a great thing. But I would say those 2 different groups would be, I think, a really ideal thing to provide to our men and women and their caregivers. Thank you.
Yeah, Director, I agree with you. I hadn't thought about that. And I think that would be very helpful. Thanks. I'll write those down.
Thank you.
Okay. Any further questions? Thank you. Thank you, Chief. Next, we have our action items. First one is the California Senate Bill 1205, mandatory inspections and compliance reporting for CY 2022. And that would be Deputy Fire Marshal Amy Nagrin.
Good evening, President Clark, directors,
Welcome.
Chief Haverty and senior staff. I'm Amy Nygren. I'm the Deputy Fire Marshal in the Community Risk Reduction Division. Chief Law apologizes for not being here today. She is representing the district at a community meeting on homelessness down in Supervisor Kennedy's district today. Today, I'm here to talk about SB 1205, give a little history and overview of that Senate bill, as well as a little bit of a highlight on our inspection staffing. The state mandated required inspections as for SB 1205, and then a final compliance report on SB 1205. SB 1205 took effect in 2018, and it's codified into the Health and Safety Code. It requires for our agency, the Community Risk Reduction Division, to report out our state mandated inspections to our board of directors. And then the second half of that requires the board of directors to acknowledge receipt of that report. And tonight that's in the form of a resolution. A little bit on our inspection staffing. We have 3 supervising inspectors in 3 different teams, 1 for code enforcement, 1 for new construction, and 1 for training. We have currently 11 inspectors. 7 of those inspectors are inspector 2s, and their primary role is new construction inspections, plan review, and state mandated inspections. We have 2 inspector 1s, and their primary role is code enforcement and state mandates. And then we have 2 inspector 1s currently in training. They're about 3 months into the process. And then 2 inspector candidates in backgrounds. So with SB 1205, it requires us to inspect certain occupancies. The first one is an E occupancy, and that's typically your public and private schools through the 12th grade, and also daycares. So within Metro Fire's jurisdiction, we have and inspected 196 public schools, 84 private schools, and 99 daycares. The other occupancy that we need to report out on are residential occupancies specific to hotels, motels, apartments, anything with 3 units or more, as well as care facilities that house more than 6 clients. So within Metro Fire's jurisdiction, we have and inspected 42 hotels and motels, 861 apartment complexes, 885 fourplexes, and 80 residential care facilities with more than 6 clients. We also have a high rise, and although the high rise specifically doesn't require state mandated report out, it is also a hotel. So that does fall into that category as well. We just do it separately so that you can see where it falls. And again, we have and inspected 1 high rise in the residential section. For 2022, we're very proud of our stats for last year. Again, Group E occupancies, we have a total of 379 in the district, and we completed initial inspections for all 379, 100% compliance rate with SB 1205. And with Group R occupancies, again, that's your hotels, motels, fourplexes, and care facilities. We have 1,869 R occupancies, with 100% of those inspected for initial inspections and completed, 100% compliance rate. And with that, staff recommends the board adopt a resolution acknowledging the receipt of the report regarding performance of annual inspections as outlined in the Health and Safety Code. Any questions?
Thank you, Deputy Chief Nygren, for that great report. Do we have any questions of the Deputy Chief?
Mr. President.
Go ahead.
I don't have a question, but wow, those are big numbers. I'm sure everyone in that division gets all their steps in on a daily basis with all those inspections. Well done. Thank you.
Thank you. With that, we have about 5 inspectors that have completed most of those inspections last year on average. And when you take, do the math on the whole year, not taking into account vacations, sick leave, just normal time training, things like that, It's 8 inspections a day, or sorry, 8 inspections for the week. And most of us work an alternate work schedule, so that's at least 2 a day. And then that add in all of our complaints and follow-up and things like that. So they're moving. We're very proud of the work that they were able to accomplish last year.
A huge workload. Well done. Again, thank you.
Director Gould, you have your hand up.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Ms. Nygren, kudos to all of you and your staff. I agree that this is an incredible accomplishment, that this community really needs to understand the lives saved, the buildings saved, just what this prevention really accomplishes in our community. And so please share with all of your staff just how grateful we are of the hard work that your men and women do, because it's just amazing to me that this has now become kind of the new benchmark for your department. You know, I've always wondered, geez, the pressure you all bring on each other to maintain this year over year 100% compliance with the state law. That I think is important for the community to understand is there is no income or revenue generated from our compliance. This is a classic example of the state mandating compliance on something, but not providing any revenue or funds for that compliance. And so this comes directly out of the hard work of the men and women and our budget. In addition to that, Ms. Nygren, do you have any idea, without throwing any other departments under the bus, we don't want to, but do you have any idea of what the state average is as far as compliance goes with this particular regulation?
I don't have that information. I know I've attended some classes recently and we've talked about this, and I know there's jurisdictions out there that don't do any still. So it's not surprising, but yeah, we are following exactly what's required. And just to clarify, so we don't get state funding for those inspections. We do have a cost recovery portion of it for all of those inspections except the public schools.
Right.
So we do have a cost recovery.
Right. And that's a sizable chunk of that is outside of the cost recovery. Thanks for that clarification. And then again, I would say it's important for our constituents across the district to understand that we're at 100% compliance, and there's departments that haven't even begun to be compliant. And so that just further, I think, reflects the leadership within your department, within this organization as a whole, as we look at prevention as one of the strongest ways to reduce our demands for service and reduce the tragedies that so often visit other communities that don't comply with these kinds of things. And if my memory serves me right, this whole regulatory piece came about because of some significant tragedies that happened in jurisdictions where there was absolutely little to no prevention going on. So for the organizations that participate in these and may pay a small cost recovery, understand that this is a massive prevention that goes on and saves us the heartache and the tragedies that have visited other cities. Am I speaking out of place, Ms. Nygren?
No, absolutely. I appreciate the kind words for our division and the hard work that our staff has done. Thank you.
It is truly amazing. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Director Gould, for your great questions. And thank you very much for your hard work, you and the staff, and all right. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
All right.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion, we adopt the resolution.
Oh,
Take action.
I'd like to move the.
oh, I'm sorry.
recommendation. Yes, sir. I'd like
Sorry.
to remove.
Yes,
I'd
it's an
like to
action.
move staff's recommendation pursuant to the requirements contained in SB 1205 to adopt resolution acknowledging receipt of the annual report regarding all these inspections for the calendar year 2022.
All right, we have a motion, and do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion by Director Jones, a second by Director Costa. Some clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Director Weber,
Aye.
Sheets,
Aye.
Gould,
Aye.
Wood,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Costa,
Aye.
and Clark.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay, moving on to the second item on the action items is emergency work approval, Station 101 repairs, and we will have a Deputy Chief Wagaman.
Good evening, President Clark and Directors, Fire Chief Haverty. Good evening. I first really want to dovetail. I wanted to do it before she finished her first presentation. One thing that she did not mention is she was promoted and we had a new fire marshal all at the same time. They never lost priority of these mandates. So there was a lot of moving parts. And that really speaks to the professionalism of the community risk reduction. That's a lot going on and they still got the job done. So outstanding job. So on to my report before you tonight is emergency work approval. Not real good news to report, but something that I have to do. On January 29th, 2023, an electrical fire occurred at Metro Fire Station 101 at 3000 Fulton Avenue. The fire was caused by a mechanical failure, resulting in extensive kitchen thermal damage as well as smoke damage throughout the station. In order to restore the station's ability to continue to provide services to their first due area, immediate restoration services were necessary. Our facilities manager contacted ATI, who was able to assemble a crew and begin the extensive process of cleaning the station to allow for partial reoccupancy. At this point, the cleaning portion of the restoration process is expected to exceed $100,000, which is typically requiring an informal bid process. However, in this event of an emergency, we can forego that as long as the board approves and finds that this is in fact an emergency. In order to restore non-delayed response services to that station, we must reoccupy their dorm, reoccupy their bathroom and shower, reoccupy the captain's office, as well as reoccupy the EMS storage room. Once this process is complete, we can move to an informal bid process for the reconstruction or the build back. And then we can reoccupy the day room and the kitchen area. While the reconstruction is occurring, the crew will be able to utilize the fire investigations unit building next door to accommodate their day room and kitchen needs. The PCC, which is Public Contract Code, defines an emergency as a sudden unexpected occurrence that poses a clear and imminent danger requiring immediate action to prevent or mitigate the loss or impairment of life, health, property, and essential services. And that is exactly the services that Metro Fire Station 101 provides to that community. So with that, it is staff's recommendation that the board finds that this is an emergency and authorizes restoration without a competitive bid, and to approve this resolution by 4/5 vote. If the board so authorizes, I will update the board at every regular scheduled board meeting until this action has been terminated. And as of today, the schedule to complete the cleaning process and removal of the damaged material is approximately 1.5 weeks from today, February 20th. With that, I would like to open up to any questions that you have.
Do we have any questions from the board? Oh, Director Weber.
So I come from a little bit of a construction background, and I was looking through the paperwork here, especially with the tools that are needed to do this job. Typically, a contractor will provide their own tools. I see in here that we are purchasing or paying for them by additional tools. Once this job is complete, and again, typically in the construction world, if somebody comes to my house and does work and I have to buy their tools, I own their tools. Is that the case with this situation as well? Are we able to keep those tools that we purchase?
Yeah, to my knowledge, we're not keeping any of the tools that were purchases. What I did see within that quotation are several machines that they have rented, like air scrubbers that they don't currently keep on hand, but they do rent from local companies when the need arises. Obviously, those would be given back to the appropriate rental companies. As for any outstanding equipment that would need to be purchased in order for them to complete that task, no, it's not within the scope of that work for us to obtain that equipment when the work is complete.
And typically that would be included in the bid itself. It wouldn't be an itemized chart or listing of additional tools that we would buy. Typically that bid would be all encompassing. So just curious about If it was me, I'd keep the tools.
Well, yeah.
Well, it depends if they're rental or not, but
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, that's, we
you,
clarified that about them being rented, right? A lot of tools being rented.
That's exactly what they told us. Yeah, they don't keep all of those types of tools on hand.
Yeah,
You would think a company of their size does, however, I can't speak to how often they would use air scrubbers and things of that nature, but
Yeah.
certainly a conversation that I can have with our facilities manager and take it up with them as well. I think it's a fair question.
thank you for that
Thank you.
question, Director Weber. Director Gould, you have your hand up.
Yep, thank you, Mr. Chair. I agree with Director Weber that if we purchase those tools,
Yep.
and we make that purchase at the conclusion of this project, those tools go back into our queue of tools in case we ever have a need for those again. I think logistics, it would be a great thing if we end up having to purchase them. I totally agree with him. These companies cannot have us be buying tools that they
No.
then keep for other businesses. That's, I think, a gift of public funds. So I agree with him that if we can't get that rectified, that we look at owning those tools after it's over. Thank you, Mr.
Absolutely.
Chair.
Yeah, that's usually not typical for those companies to put it in a bid to buy their tools. They're supposed to provide that.
Yeah.
Any
thank
other
you.
questions?
President Clark.
Oh, that's right.
Can
Thank
I
you, Council.
just
Council will
interject?
interject about the
This is
process.
one of the areas under the code where it's a little bit different than just voting to approve things by a majority vote. It has to be by a 4/5 vote of this body. And in voting on this, what you're actually voting to do is to approve and three things and to make findings on three things. One is that there's evidence before you that the emergency would not allow the delay that would come from sending it out to competitive bids. So that's one thing that you would be making a finding upon. Number two, that the actions necessary in order to respond to the emergency. So not only is there, you can't sustain the delay from competitive bids, but it is an emergency that requires you to act now. And the third thing is that you're giving authority to then go ahead and negotiate a contract without giving notice for bids or an RFP in order to complete the work. So I just wanted to let the board know that part of what they're voting on are those three things that are a required finding under the public contract code in order to authorize a contract like this without a public bid.
Thank you. Having no further questions, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make the motion.
Director Weber,
I'll second.
motion by Director Weber, second by Director Jones. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Director Weber,
Aye.
Sheets,
Aye.
Gould,
Aye.
Wood,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Costa,
Aye.
and Clark.
Aye.
Motion passes.
All right, next on the agenda is reports, President's report. I don't have anything to report under that item. Next, we go to the Fire Chief's report. Interim Chief Haverty.
Thank you, Director. Honorable Directors, my colleagues in the department, members of the public. Tonight is kind of long because we have a lot of proudly a lot of names to share with you for our upcoming awards, and I'll get to that. We have some promotions. I'd like to congratulate Manny Bates for being promoted to Fire Inspector 2. That was effective January 26th, and congratulations to Amanda Berkey and Anthony Berkey, husband and wife who work for us, for being promoted to Plan Intake Specialist effective the first of the month. And also congratulations to Tomas Fedis for being promoted to engineer on the 6th of this month. We have an internal and external open recruitment for board clerk, as you know. Final filing is the 21st of the month. And we have openings for an external recruitment for paramedic. Final filing is the 10th of March. We had a years of service award just this morning that was given to office technician Nanette Goodwin for her 15 years of service in this fire department. And now we have the members of year 2022 for various awards. And on behalf of the member of the year selection committee, I'd like to announce the individuals selected for Member of the Year 2022 in their respective category. First, for suppression, Captain Stephen Overlander. For professional staff, Senior Staff Administrative Coordinator Jill Guzman. The following individuals were nominated for a category of Member of the Year and will receive a peer recognition certificate. They include Administrative Specialist Dana Lips, Battalion Chief Matt Cole, Captains Bryce Beveridge and Russell Gardner, Communication Technician 2, Alex Guevara, firefighters Jason Ekin and Kevin King, Human Resource Analyst Leslie Miller, Logistics Technician Brad Graham, Mechanic Scott Courtney, who's retired, Procurement Specialist Courtney Moore. The following individuals will receive commendations for the various categories I mentioned. For a Medal of Valor for firefighter is Tucker Hodge. Commendation of Valor, Captain Steve Oberlander. A company commendation will go to Captain Sean Lemon, Engineer Philip Alexander, and firefighter Tucker Hodge. Also a company commendation for Captain Stephen Oberlander, Engineer Matthew Crooks, and firefighter Brian Smith. Another company commendation for Captain Bryce Mitchell, Captain James Doyle, firefighter Matt Dargan, and firefighter Brian Kahn. And we have kind of a long list of company commendations for work on fireground survival. This is the cadre that participated. We have a number of captains, including Brian Dupertis, Jeff Malinowski, Ryan McMahon, Aaron Montgomery, Dave Bear, Trevor Gordon, Brendan Hogan, Josh Leonard, Scott Lohmeyer, Craig Rickey, Ben Cargile, Jeremy Dabb, Sean Lemon, Aaron Lindquist, Stephen Oberlander, and Dustin Rodriguez. And then we have Engineer Alexander. Carl was part of that team. And then a number of firefighters, including Brett Farrell, Andrew Nahara, Kevin Stewart, Austin Thiel, Jason Watts, Lorenzo Wood, Jason Ekin, Gabe Gomez, Mitchell Landetta, Daniel Rosso, Matthew Hauser, Christopher Pike, and Katie Trimble. We have some peer recognition commendations, which will go to the following captains: Tyler Block, Ryan Manfredi, Ryan Pullis, Jeremy Crawford, Josh Leonard, Scott Lohmeyer, Dave Bear, and Dwayne Miller. And then for engineers, Kevin Gresham, Bo Levetsky, and logistics technician Anthony Berkey, and also logistics technician Brad Graham, and logistics technician Warp Christo. And we have a peer recognition for payroll supervisor Sarah Ortiz, and for safety specialist Robert Sestito, and also safety specialist Brian Spence. And these awards will be presented at our annual awards gala on March 30th of this year. And I'd like to invite you and the members of our department to come and celebrate the great achievements of all of these members. And a big thank you to the Member of the Year Selection Committee for their hard work and these recommendations. This last Saturday, we had a great event out at Sunrise Mall, a Fill the Boot for the Burn Foundation for this boot drive of 2023. It went from February 2nd to the 5th with the Chiefs Challenge on Saturday, February 4th. And really thank you to everybody who made this event possible. Those that volunteered their time, those who donated monetarily, and to the many staff members that attended and worked at the safety fair and supported it with our logistics. Really wonderful turnout from our regional agencies. The safety fair was well attended. We had, I think, 3 helicopters land, ours included. As of yesterday, the estimated total raised during the event was $168,313, with a collection of $24,194 during the Chiefs Challenge alone. Metro, I want to let you know, Metro Fire collected twice the amount of the next closest fire department during the actual Chiefs Challenge on Saturday. We collected over $3,000 in an hour. So we have a very generous constituency out there. However, I need to apologize to the department for losing the legacy of the trophy that has resided at Metro for a number of years. But I lost it to a great chief, Chief Felipe Rodriguez out of Casumnas, for winning the Chiefs Challenge this year. So there's always next year, I guess, for that. We have our next session for Brown Act is coming up at your next board meeting. Mr. Pat Kernan and his associates will be back on Thursday, February 23rd. The timing is a little different. It's from 2 to 4 this time for the second session. And for those members of the department who are staying for all the afternoon and evening gatherings, we'll provide a dinner option for them. I want to let our public know that the dinner for our members is being paid from private funds, not public funds. We have a rollout of our reframing organization study that you and I spoke about a couple of months ago. That started yesterday, and started with one class that included the battalion chiefs, the assistants and deputy chiefs, as well as our fire marshal and deputy fire marshal. The next group of managers will be on Monday, February 27th for these first 2 chapters. And then we'll continue monthly with 3 deliveries per month, 1 on each shift in various locations around the district. Yesterday was good. I had fun teaching, and I think hopefully it was valuable for those who were participating. I know that Director Rice is not here tonight, but I wanted to report out on his request at your last meeting. In his comments, he asked for some data to be included in the 21-22 community annual report, and we're moving forward on that. I've met with our controller and others in the department, and so we'll be including the number of firefighters, including engineers and captains, with injuries or deaths, the number of lost time in days due to industrial injury and illnesses, the dollars spent for coverage of lost time due to an injury or illness, and the number of physical rescues performed. Also from our community risk reduction division, we will be including the annual fires responded to, broken down by commercial and residential structure fires, vehicle fires, veg fires, and others. There's a couple of areas where we can't really get information now or maybe ever. It's the number of injuries sustained by firefighters while responding to an EMS call. We don't track that today, so we're kind of looking into seeing if we can track that in some way and be able to get that for you as well. I want to let you know that our PP, GEMT, and IGT work group has now met twice. Yesterday was a good meeting to move forward. We have various elements, members of the organization that have a stake in that. And as you know, its intention on my part is to develop the capacity within the organization to deal with these financial issues, because they affect our membership, they affect our ability to provide great services out into the public. And so we're moving forward on that. It was a good meeting that we had yesterday for that. I wanted to just conclude today to let you know that our peer support group is providing an offering for couples, first responder couples, husband and wife. It's called Challenges Associated with First Responder Relationship. It actually takes place this Sunday, it takes place Sunday, March 12th. From 10:30 to 3:30, and I saw a note late today that it already filled up, and they take 30 couples, and so they're looking at doing another offering for that because it filled up like that. So clearly an important need for our membership. Yes. Thank you. That concludes my report.
It's marvelous report, Chief. Thank you. Do we have any questions? Chief?
Yeah, Chief, thanks for the report. I appreciate all the comments. I also appreciate the reports that we get every week from you on the Fridays. Those are good. I've noticed the last couple of weeks, we haven't had any brownouts, but we're still having challenges with constant staffing. Particularly on Saturdays. The last 2 Saturdays, we've had 8 to 9 mandatory callbacks. The rest of the week, it's 0, 1, or 2. These challenges with staffing have been going on for the last few years, irrespective of a COVID spike or a downturn in COVID. So in my mind, I don't associate these challenges with COVID because they've been constant, irrespective of what's going on in the world with COVID. But it has created a significant impact on our communities and our members because of the brownouts that have followed from the staffing challenges, all of the callbacks that are required of our members, the extra hours they have to put in, the changes in their assignments, if firefighters getting pulled off of their engine and put in a medic because the medic's called in sick. It's created a lot of problems. And one of the things I'd like to do is I was hoping Chief Bailey would be here to ask him, but during one of these admin reports in an upcoming meeting, get some detailed information, some data about, what trends do we have over the last couple of years in constant staffing? What trends do we have in these mandatory callbacks? When are they happening? Why are they happening? What can we do? How are they affecting our brownouts? How's that affecting the coverage that we're providing to our community? And what sort of plans or goals does, after looking at the data, what sort of plans or goals can be set for eliminating that as we get through the summer and into the next flu season, when we will typically see additional sick leave usage? So I'd like to see something like that in the future.
Thank you. I'll relay that to Chief and begin to work with him on it. I think that Chief Cole from Local 522 has a lot to offer and say about that as well. I'd like to be able to include his perspective.
Absolutely.
As well. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for that question. With Director Jones?
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to tag team on Director Woods in that, to be able to look at that information, and I'm not talking about a data dump or anything like this, but to look at some of these basic numbers, month to year, whatever, and that really will help us set some goals in terms of staffing, and that can contribute to hopefully our workshop about the staffing models that we've been hearing about. And I know I, for one, would like to include those questions in our workshop.
Yeah.
When our strategic planning, whatever you want to call it, where we can have a back and forth interchange from the very many, very good, solid reports we get. Sometimes it's a little TMI to absorb everything with all the acronyms and such, just to have a free flow exchange of, this looks good, this looks like it could be improved, and we can put our heads together.
May I ask the board, when would you like a workshop? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, well,
I'd say as soon as possible.
As soon as
Whoever has to stand up, and I'll go after him.
As soon as possible.
Oh,
yeah, we gotta, yeah.
may excuse me for jumping in, Chief, but I think part of this might be, is it going to be a Saturday type thing or an evening
Right.
thing? And I know, as Chief is very much aware and very considerate, if you overload an agenda with one evening, it's, a lot of things will get overlooked. So we need to weigh, measure, and balance my own attention span, at least. So that's a consideration. Maybe a doodle poll or something might help with our various schedules.
So how about through the board clerk, we float some dates and kind of options for you, and you can pick and choose what you might like. My guess is you won't want to meet over 3 hours or 4 hours. Is that
No.
accurate?
It's too much.
The reason why I suggested May is because, sorry, Mr. Chair.
Go ahead.
The reason why I suggested May is it gives time to assemble the data and get answers to the questions that we've kind of been floating out here and trying to get information on.
Yeah.
April's kind of tough with the cap to cap. We'll be losing some of our board members over a 2-week period.
There you go.
So March might not be enough time to get all that information in. Late April or early May on a Saturday might be the best thing.
Yeah, and I'd actually like to meet with you to hear more clarity on specifically what you're looking for, so that we make the day productive, make the time productive for you. So, sir, are you suggesting perhaps May or?
Late April, early May, one of those Saturdays,
Okay, all right.
just so staff has time to assemble the information we need. And we're not putting them in a crunch, trying to get together for a mid-March meeting.
Okay, great.
Well, just recollect that time frame is cap to cap. So perhaps the second, third week in,
I thought Catch Up was April, I'm sorry.
it is April 2021.
Yes.
So
And-
anyway,
Early May,
we
yeah,
can
late May.
handle calendars.
Or probably, well, yeah, and like you said, the board clerk will float those dates and we can come to a consensus. All right.
Sounds like a plan.
Any other questions? Thank you, Chief. That's a great report. Next, we have the operations report, and that'll be Deputy Chief Mitchell and AC Lozano,
Yes.
Assistant Chief Lozano.
Thank you, President Clark. Good evening, Directors, Chief, and everybody present tonight, virtually and in person. Just like we did last time, we had the EMS division come and report to you about what they're working on under operations. Tonight, I'm very proud to introduce to you Assistant Chief Mike Lozano, who is in charge of our safety, health, and wellness and training division to give a report out on what they're working on. So, Chief, come on in.
Good evening,
Welcome.
Mr. President, Board, Fire Chief Haverty. I will give you a report out, but first I want to start with a perspective. So in the fire service, we talk a lot about risk assessment. In doing that, especially at Metro Fire, we talk a lot about risk identification, risk mitigation, residual risk, and risk tolerance. So when we do that, we can identify some big risks in the fire service universally, especially in here at Metro Fire. And some of that, I'll just list a couple. It's not going to be an exhaustive list, I can promise you. But cancer-related exposures, big risk for us. Cardiovascular disease issues, physical health, injury prevention, whether it's on an emergency scene or day-to-day operations, mental wellness, firefighter resiliency and retention. These are some big risks. And now what I'd like to do is walk you through how training, health, wellness, and safety is actually the merge point for how we reduced all those risks in Metro Fire. I can draw a direct line for what the men and women in the training division, the health and wellness division, and the safety division are doing to mitigate and try to reduce those risks as much as possible at Metro Fire. So first I'll start with safety. Every day you walk into safety, we just finished up fit testing. We're making sure that the men and women in Metro Fire have their protection equipment and it fits properly so that we can eliminate as much of the exposure to carcinogens as possible. In addition to that, they're cleaning PPE at a rate almost double already this year than we did last year, which means that not only is our compliancy up with our cleaning and sanitation compliancy, but our men and women at Metro Fire are understanding that wearing those dirty turnouts, wearing that dirty PPE is no longer the sign of being salty, right? So the safety division is doing that. In addition to that, they have constructed and are conducting field testing for our tick purchase later on this year. Hopefully we're going to get a grant for that. So the men in safety right now are working overtime to make sure that some of the biggest risks that we have identified in the fire service and certainly within Metro Fire are being mitigated to the best of our ability. Health and wellness. One of the things this last week that we did is I met with Dr. Rossiter and Coach Gallagher. We met with an advanced cardio screening company that comes in and they look at cardiovascular risk in a whole different way, not a different way, but much more granular than we currently do in our annual fitness assessments. So we're looking at bringing that to Metro Fire as well. I've also been with Coach Gallagher as we have went and visited and had many wellness clinics come to visit us. We're looking to do some open hours at different wellness clinics throughout the department where people could pop in and get that moment of relaxation before they go home to their loved ones and hopefully de-stress a little bit from the shift. These are things that we're doing. And again, I can draw parallels to what we're doing to some of these risks that I've already identified. Training. This week, we met with Tesla. Tesla is going to change the roof tiles that they use in Sacramento. We met with Tesla, the training division went out on site to where they're going to build a prop for us. We're then going to cycle all of our truck companies through it. They're going to get a chance to not only get on that roof, cut that roof, but also listen to the experts about the energy retention once you turn the system off. We're also going to have a prop of Tesla power walls out there so that we can get familiar with what those look like and what those turn off. Again, directly related to the risks that we know of in the fire service. We also have what's called our multimedia group. You've already heard it once. We've referred to them. Captain Cahill and his group are doing podcasts for work comp information, but they also do AARs. They also do video information videos that we put out to all of the agencies so that we can keep that communications flowing. There are PDPs, our professional development series are recorded and they are live streamed so that we can do the best possible way that we can get the information and training out to our members so that, again, we can combat some of the risks that we already know about. Those are just a few things that we're doing. I would like to invite any of the board members who would like, we have live fire trainings for our recruit academy in May. Any of you are welcome. Just let me know if you want to be out there. We can coordinate with that. And with that, because I was told I only had 2 minutes, with that, I'll forego all of the acronyms and all of the numbers I was going to get to for you, Director Jones. And open it up to questions.
She's not the only one now.
I'll open up to questions.
Is that,
No,
then-
it's great report.
then, yeah, that's a wonderful report. I love the part about Tesla because we're gonna be challenged by those kind of fires from here on out. Wonderful report. I'm looking forward to going out and visiting.
All right.
All right.
What do you do?
Thank you. Do we have any questions of the?
Sure. Chief, is it your division that's responsible for that couples session that the chief was talking about?
No, I wish I could take credit for that, but no, no, we're not. Captain Manfredi and the peer group are doing that. And actually, we just held a basic peer group training at our training division, and the attendance was overwhelming. It was, I mean, we didn't even have enough room in our parking lot. They were overflowing from all over the region to train the trainers to be peer support. And I think that is, it was a welcoming sight for me. I was smiling about that.
Well, thank you for the report. It was a great one. Thanks.
Are any other agencies doing this, the couple thing, that?
I do not know about that. Although I
Sounds to
do
me like
believe that we had other agencies attending that training as part of the peer support.
That's really
That's
great.
awesome.
That's awesome. That's.
BCLM, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Having no further questions. Next. Sorry, that's,
Need more laundry set.
who else? This is my mother. I apologize. Mom's calling the darndest time. They don't care. She doesn't care what I'm doing. She's entitled to that, so I'm not gonna fight that trend. I just apologize. Next, we have the administrative report. Chief Bailey is, I don't see him here, so looks like Chief Wagman is gonna stand in.
Yes, good evening, President Clark, Directors, Fire Chief Harms, President Clark's mother, Tyler Wagman, Deputy Chief of Support Services with your Support Services report. Tonight, the highlights continue. Tonight, I'll be highlighting the Facilities Division. Our manager, John Rayside, a phenomenal individual, heart of gold. He takes every single one of those core values each and every day and puts them to work, and is an honor and privilege to work for him every single day. John has a fantastic team of 4 individuals. They all have their own specialty, which is very unique to Metro Fire. We have an expert in HVAC. We have a plumber. We have an electrician and a general contractor. They all cross-train themselves. And I have no doubt by today, they're all experts in all of those fields, which is fantastic. Mr. Rayside has been in construction for 40 years. He's been with Metro Fire for 22 years. And in total, his team brings 125 years of construction experience to Metro Fire. So what do? Well, this is John's words. We operate like a small construction company. We oversee vendors providing facility services to the district. We manage projects. We budget for projects. We can conduct emergency and preventative maintenance repairs throughout the district. We upgrade our fire stations. And in doing so, we work closely with every single division within Metro Fire. Most recently, they provided an immediate response to help restore power to our fire stations during a wind event. They also removed debris to make sure that our rigs could access and egress the fire stations. And they maintained fuel in the generators for the stations that were on backup power. Even more recently, during the fire at Station 101, I made a call to Mr. Rayside, and he made it to Station 101 within an hour from Rancho Marietta, dropped everything that he was doing on a weekend, about 30 minutes before the football game was supposed to start. And he made it a priority of service before self. And that I appreciate. And he had his team follow suit right behind him. Some fun facts. In total, they maintain 43 fire stations, 4 administration buildings, and that's a 502,000 square feet of buildings throughout our jurisdiction. Last year, they had 912 maintenance requests that they handled. That's 76 per month. And 4.8 per day. Some big accomplishments within 2022. They completed the installation of the mobile bathroom at Station 23. They upgraded almost the entire facility at 3121 Gold Canal for our new training division. They assisted our IT division with access control, which has been an ongoing multi-year project. They upgraded multiple stations to accommodate our Safer Firefighter grant. They replaced the HVAC system 1 and 2 here at headquarters. That was a $500,000 project. As well as they installed emergency generators at Station 24 and Station 25. And I'm just scratching the surface on the many accomplishments that they had in 2022. Well, with John's 22 years of experience, he's going to hang his hat up here come April. As much as he very much wanted to be here tonight, and I said he's amazing at just about everything that he does, and including golf and problem solving. One thing that he's not that comfortable with is standing here before you, but I reassured him that's my job. So he's going to retire this April. And I know that we have 4 strong individuals that work within that division that could easily take his place tomorrow. And we have already started the process. We have interviews coming to replace him, as well as we have an active recruitment to replace whoever takes Mr. Rayside's position. So in closing, your facilities division has a strong team dedicated to keeping Metro Fire properties in working order, allowing the public's call to get answered without delay and without disruption. And that concludes my report.
Great report. Do we have any questions of the chief? Thank you. And next up is support services report by Chief Wagman.
Done.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did Bailey's, Chief Bailey's report.
Chief Bailey's report, I think he's going to cover it at the next board meeting.
Okay, all right, then you did. All right, I got that a little confused. Next, we have General Counsel's report.
No report.
Council Alvarez has no report. Next, we have firefighters local 522, BC Matt Cole, Vice President of the local.
Good evening, everyone. First off, before my report, I'd like to speak to the comments of Director Wood, followed by Director Jones. I appreciate you pushing for a workshop on what we call constant staffing. That's a confusing term sometimes, just like customer service is really just people helping people. Constant staffing is just making sure that when somebody calls, we show up. There's so many factors associated with, yes, the use of leave and some of our negotiated benefits, but also recruitment challenges, retention challenges, deployment challenges, modernizing what we do and how we do it. And so I am thankful that we've all been talking about that for a while, and I absolutely welcome the opportunity. And like Chief Haverty had said, the piece that 522 will play in that, because the work-life balance is a challenge. And at 522, we've taken a lot of steps really over the last year to not just come up with working conditions and in good union jobs to recruit people into our EMS division, to look at how to modernize that deployment, but the men and women have changed to an alternative callback model to where we're rotating more frequently. And I know, and I thank you all for the visits you've made to the firehouses, and I understand that challenge is being shared with you. So as soon as possible, whether it's March, April, May, we welcome any and every opportunity to work with all of you to ensure that when the call is made, people show up, and we do it as professionally as possible. So thank you, and thank you, Chief. So to my report, since we've met last, a number of 522 members, myself included, did attend the Affiliate Leadership Training Symposium in Clark County, also Las Vegas, like we said. And yes, there was a lot of networking that happened at the fun side of Vegas. I am very proud of the amount of work that went in the number of leadership classes that we all attended. Many great classes. There was a lot of conversations that I personally got pulled into regarding the PPG EMT and what AB 1705 has set up for us locally within the state. We connected with a lot of other local leaders to clean up this non-federal share piece. And we continue to work on that. And Chief Haverty has set together a working group here internally that I am also appreciative to be a part of. I can tell you at the state and even the federal level, labor is going to be involved to ensure that the opportunities to get help from the federal government for the services that really our local communities are providing the funding for, the government has a means to support us there. And we're going to make sure that we get in the room to ensure that we exercise that to its fullest. So there was a lot of good things at Alts, but the thing that I took home that was the most powerful me, and it hits a little bit to Chief Lozano's report, is you heard about our safety division and the laundering of gear. And thankfully, we are not defined as salty by the amount of salt or crust on our gear anymore. The carcinogens that we've been exposed to when we push into structures and then take out on our gear, we can do something about. What we cannot do anything about right now is that our gear itself is giving us cancer. Our gear is loaded with fluorinated particles that are PFAS heavy. And I wasn't aware of what that was. There's been a fair amount of literature that has come out recently from the IFF, but for way too long, we've been slow to react to the challenges that the manufacturers have been aware of for a long time. And just in the last week, I have been informed that a dear friend and retired member and an active, really good friend both have cancer that can be directly attributed to the exposure that we are getting from the PFAS in our turnouts. We don't have really good options. The membership is going to be, we're working together to educate the membership on the exposure that we are willingly taking. We all accept that pushing into a structure to potentially save somebody's life, we just kind of say, yeah, cancer is going to get us all someday. But we never thought that the gear we were putting on to protect us would be giving us that cancer, and it is happening at an alarming rate. And so the IFF is championing change and looking to hold those manufacturers accountable. I think there are some things we can do here locally that we will also work on to try to manage some of those challenges, but it's heavy. And I myself have put my son in that gear when he was 3 years old to take pictures of him. And if I knew that was giving us cancer, I sure as hell would not have done that. So we need to start to look at that gear differently. Even going out to the Burn Institute's boot drive, I'm so happy that we're out there doing that. But we had men and women parading in cancer-causing gear just to collect money for the Burn Institute. So we have to start to really look at what we do and how we do it and change those things. So that was very powerful. Sorry if I just sound like I'm getting choked up, but it was a big part of the conference. And I look forward to working together to try to manage those things here at home until we have a bigger solution for the fire service as a whole. Since we met last week, we had a shop steward meeting. So 18 shop stewards were together. We were able to pass all this information from alts on to all of them to get out into the membership. We were able to talk about labor management and some of the good things that we've been doing since Chief Haverty joined the organization. And then also talk about deployment standards of coverage and even some of the stuff that you're asking as far as constant staffing and what we hopefully will cover in the workshop. So that was good. We had a general membership meeting today, actually, where it was enlightening to get together with the other units. We don't often hear what other units are working on when they report out to their membership and general membership. That's a neat opportunity for us to get some snapshot on what they're doing. And I can tell you, not just a lot of us went through negotiations the last year, and I'm very proud of what we were able to do to establish some improved working conditions and recruitment opportunities for folks. But some of our partners, both to the east and the west, are working on educational opportunities and paramedic training because they're looking to bring in single function individuals into the EMS division and looking at opportunities to put them through school. So I think therein lies our challenge, right? To either partner with them and do those things or make sure that we're out in the front so that we can continue to have the workforce that we're going to need to answer the call with constant staffing. I do appreciate the opportunity to be involved in the upcoming RFP process for the third-party administrator for work comp. So 522 is very appreciative and looking forward to being part of that. And lastly, that boot drive. I cannot thank the folks that volunteer, all of the folks that work for the Burn Institute and put in the countless hours way beyond what their normal 40-hour work week might look like. The amount of volunteers that come out to staff that, Ryan Gardner and Tyler Kraft sitting out there in the weather. Tyler just had a baby. I think his baby girl was like 9 days old when he was out there on behalf of the event. So a huge thank you to everybody. Thank you to Chief for being part of the Chiefs Challenge. We'll get him next year. And thank you to all of you for continuing to support that event and the boot drive. And thank you to Chief Mitchell for lending a hand operationally. Metro Fire props that up. We really do because of some of the challenges and work-life balance and all that. And we continue to be very flexible and agile on that. That is one of the powers of our organization. So thank you. And with that, that concludes my report. And unless anybody has any questions.
That's a great report. Thank you for that report on the turnouts. We really need to hold these manufacturers to account.
Yes, sir.
It's not that hard. Do we have any questions? No questions or comments. Thank you. Vice President Cole. Okay. Next on the agenda, we're gonna move on to committee and delegates reports and executive committee. I'll start with the executive committee. We met at 5:15 p.m. this afternoon, and the only item we had on the agenda was action item was with the policy committee to appoint Director Costa to the policy committee, and I of course have removed myself from there. So and then Director Gould relinquished the chairmanship, and Director Costa got nominated to be the chair. His first time in.
Voluntold.
Yeah, voluntold. But I'm sure he's gonna do a great job as chair of that committee. All right. Next thing, we have the Communications Center JPA, and that's DC Wagman.
Every report's not, we have not met since our last board meeting. We were scheduled to meet on February 14th.
Thank you, Chief. Next, Finance and Audit Committee, Director Wood.
The Finance and Audit Committee has not met since our last meeting. We will meet next on February 23rd at 5 o'clock. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
You're welcome. Director Gould. Oh, Director Costa. Wait a minute. Since you're still the director, I mean the chair today, Director Gould, maybe you'll just be your last report. Or would you like to have Director Costa?
No,
please. Okay, yeah. I think it's the proper thing is to, let Director Gould finish up.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. The policy committee met, and as has been already articulated, Director Costa was elected or voluntold that he would be the chair for the following year, and Director Sailors would be the vice chair. We also heard from our IT director on the topic related to password protection and new password policy, and that policy will continue to come before the policy committee on basically an annual basis or as needed to maintain that policy as current as possible. There are no future dates set for the policy committee, but I'm sure the new chair will make that happen sooner than later. That ends my report.
Okay, thank you, Director Gould. Next, we go to board member questions and comments. Director Costa.
All right.
To start off.
Yeah, I want to thank you for the opportunity to be the chair for the policy committee and the opportunity to serve. So thank you. And just want to congratulate all the award winners and the new promotions. Great work by everyone. Thank you.
Okay, Director Sheets.
No comment tonight.
Okay, thank you. Director Weber.
Yes. I've been fortunate to have been out in the field with fire stations, certainly some divisions throughout. And a common thread, not so much with the badges, if you will, but other divisions, the common thread seems to be that everyone could use more help. I know that folks are welcoming me into the fire station, certainly the divisions. I know all of you are welcome anytime you want to step into those firehouses. It's very, very beneficial for myself and certainly for the board. Unfortunately, past practice has been that not only the deputy chiefs, but the fire chief and certainly the board is very unaware of challenges that happen on a daily basis. One of those are the work comp situation that everyone knows I'm very active on. What I'm curious about, though, is there was a ton of work done with the delivery service last year. And I'm sure there was a report that you folks have received. I'd like to have that report myself. I haven't seen that. I think that if there's also a roadmap or a long-term plan so that management and labor can possibly reclassify, tweak, whatever terminology you want to use to maybe get some of these other divisions some help. So in short, I'd like to see that report and a long-term plan, if you will. That is it.
Thank you, Director. Next, we go to Director Gould.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to say thank you to all of the folks that put together the presentations this evening, and especially our community risk reduction group, and just what an unbelievable job they do preventing tragedies in our community, and also congratulate all of those men and women who receive accommodations and recognition of their hard work through their peers. What a wonderful thing that we do as an organization. And with that, I end my comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Gould. Next, we got Director Jones.
Thank you, Mr. President. Echoing all my fellow directors, yes, thank you for all the reports. Very, very worthwhile. And echoing my fellow directors about, again, topics that we need to get into and discuss potentially at a workshop, and that's already been taken care of. And I would like, it's already en route, so to speak. I would like to thank seniors, well, thank everybody, senior staff down to folks in the fire station. Over the last couple of weeks, I've been involved in several different elements of emergency service delivery and policy and such. And I am so happy because every time I have a question or there's an issue, Metro Fire steps up and we get to be leaders and give support and leadership to other agencies and different levels of governance in our county. And I very, very much appreciate the support, the professional reaction that I have personally received from all of you, as well as a thank you to, for example, the special districts in Sacramento County. Some issues this last week, and Metro steps up and comes up with some answers and way to accomplish some goals and objectives that had not been met prior. So I want to thank everybody. It's a long list. I'll catch you offline on it. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Jones. Director Wood.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll echo what's already been said. The presentations were amazing. I appreciate everything. Chief Cole, thank you for the turnout comments. That was good to hear. Good to hear that we're working on that. Just also want to echo and say thanks to everyone that's helped out with the boot drive this weekend. Was up there. My wife was in the counting room the last Saturday and Sunday. I was up there on Friday. Sunday, I was up there. And I've been helping out and volunteering with the Burn Institute since about 2015. And every year it just gets bigger and bigger and better. The reach of that organization, we have on Sunday, we had people from the Travis, US Air Force Fire Department of Travis. We've had Placer Hills, Cape Hay Valley, which is all the way out on the west side of Yolo County. Everyone from Metro, of course, like that said, we stand up. I think we stand up at the event. Some Sac City people, Woodland and UC Davis. We have people that come and volunteer their time from all over this region just to help support that organization. And it's wonderful to see that. So thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Well, ditto to all the comments of my fellow board members. I can't say it any better. And with that, we will adjourn the closed session and we'll be back out shortly.
On your marks.
All right, we will resume open session. We'll get a report out from our council, Albert.
Thank you, President Clark. The board met in closed session on closed session agenda, item number 1, conference with legal counsel for the case of Walton versus Sacramento Metropolitan Fire District and Duran versus Sacramento Metropolitan Fire District. No reportable action was taken. The board also met on agenda item number 2, personnel matters related to the board clerk selection process. No reportable action was taken. Thank you.
With that, having no further business, I adjourn this meeting. Our next board meeting will be, regular board meeting will be February 23rd at 6 p.m. Anticipating items to be determined.
Thank you,
sir.
Jim.
Thank you.
Thank you.